Hello everybody, welcome to the IT Skills channel. My name is Aiden. In today's video, we're going to talk about CrowdStrike versus Delta. As you can see behind me, CrowdStrike and Delta are not friends, to say the least. They've been so many commotions since July 19th. That is the day when CrowdStrike decided to deploy a patch that took down majority of the worldwide computers. As somebody who's also CrowdStrike customer, I can assure you that is the worst day of my career, mainly because CrowdStrike did not do any IT people any favor. Now, this is from this perspective of a small business. We're not big. We're not going to take any action because even though CrowdStrike took us down, all our 100 and plus servers were taken down plus endpoints. We did not make any commotion. We did what we can to recover from that. It took us about a day or so to recover from the major, infrastructure. And then after that, we were able to recover after a couple days. And so end of the day, we were able to recover, but we were not given any help from CrowdStrike. We were not given anything regarding support or, hey, are you okay type of thing. CrowdStrike left us alone because we're not a big account apparently. And so if you're not giving them millions of dollars, then they don't kind of remember you. So that's what our experience with CrowdStrike was on July 19th. I still do give my CrowdStrike representative a hard time about this because I just cannot believe a company of that magnitude go ahead and take you down, first of all, without testing the software, and then don't give you even a check on you to see if you're okay. But apparently, what I heard is they did check on the bigger customers maybe once at least. But in this case, this is not what we're here for. You're not here for my personal story about CrowdStrike. You're here for what's that got to do with Delta? Well, Delta, it's a CrowdStrike customer. Delta being CrowdStrike customer means that they also were taken down. You could see in July 19th was considered a doomsday for many airlines, but Delta were the most effective airlines that we can think of. They were taken down by CrowdStrike severely. They had 1.3 million customers delayed cancellation flight, eventually costing them $500 million. And this is the article if you want to see it yourself. So this is the article. Delta sues CrowdStrike over a software update that prompted mass flight disruption. So this is a legitimate lawsuit. Delta says you could have controlled this outage. You could have did a better testing to CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike, when they were rolling out that patch, that vulnerable or suspected patch that took down everything, this everybody in the IT world can tell you they did not test it. They did not test it on any computer. They just rolled it out because they gotten too complacent. They gotten too comfortable. They thought, oh, we're gonna just patch it like no problem. We don't need to test it. We do this all the time. And so that's what happened. They patched it. They sent the patch directly to everybody, and that was a bad patch and it affected everybody, and including whether you're using, Windows Server, Windows client, you were affected. But ironically, Mac OS wasn't affected. So Delta probably has a lot of Windows computer. They could not operate. You see their kiosk and the airport were down. There was so many things that Delta related stuff was down, and so Delta losing that much money, they were not happy with CrowdStrike, the way they got treated. And also, to make matters worse, at the time when the event happened on July 19th, CrowdStrike default answer was, this is not us, it's Windows. They were not even taking responsibility. They were not even having the actual self-awareness to think about, hey, this is us. No, they were blaming their CEO was tweeting, saying it's Windows problem. Well, it is Windows problem, right? Because this is affecting Windows, but it's your software that did it. People that don't have CrowdStrike, they were perfectly fine. Everybody was kind of laughing at CrowdStrike customer, including me, because I'm a CrowdStrike customer with my company. So basically, that was a bad day, and I bet the Delta, IT people were gotten criticized for getting CrowdStrike, even though CrowdStrike was supposed to be the protecting thing they bought. it became the one that actually took him down, which is ironic in so many ways. In this case, Delta alleges, I have to say allege, if CrowdStrike had tested, if CrowdStrike, here's basically what I'm quoting here. I quote, Delta alleges if CrowdStrike had tested the faulty update on even one computer before deployment, the computer would have crashed. Delta lawsuit says. Because they think that, hey, if CrowdStrike do the due diligence, they would know this is a bad update. They would have just go ahead and revert it back without before applying it. So they should have a staging computer area where they could test everything they're rolling out before it goes to everybody else. But no, they didn't do it. So Delta has a good point in that. Delta lawyer also says because the faulty update could not have been removed remotely, CrowdStrike crippled Delta's business and created immense delay for Delta customers. And that was the truth. The update, the bad update patch could not have been removed remotely. I personally experienced that firsthand. I had to go into the data center in my company to remove that faulty patch from our domain controllers and etc. to make sure that we're up and running on the core infrastructure. And if you were not accessible to go into the data center or to the customer that's affected by this bad patch or bad update, then you were kind of taking your customer down even longer. So that was a problem. And then I'm not gonna obviously read everything, but CrowdStrike did come back and they said, here is what they said. Delta claim are based on on disproven misinformation, demonstrate a lack of understanding how modern cybersecurity works, and it reflects a desperate attempt to shift blame for a slow recovery away from its failure to modernize its antiquated IT infrastructure. So Delta is basically saying if CloudStrike is basically saying if Delta had a modernized computers and they were aware of how to actually, recover from disasters, or they actually had any idea how to modernize their system, they wouldn't be in this mess. So they're basically saying Delta has a old, antique computers, and that they were basically affected by those computers, not because of CrowdStrike thing. But I actually disagree with CrowdStrike on this. It didn't matter if you had Windows Server 2022. It didn't matter if you were running Windows 11. It didn't matter if you were running Windows 10. Whatever system you were running, this was affected through Windows kernel. So it didn't matter. And also having a later operating system didn't also speed up the recovery, in my opinion. I think Delta has a legitimate case in here. There's no way the CrowdStrike can just say, oh, your equipment was too old. My equipment was old, did not take me down. You took me down, basically. They took people down with their lack of preparation and also full testing. Overall, this is going to be an interesting lawsuit. I cannot wait what's going to come down to it because there's no way they can get away with it. And I'm going to go ahead, click on this external link over here to see what it's going to take us over here. So this is again all the information, all the chaotic things that happen. As you can see, and, you can see that there's so many delays in the air, cancellation, postpone, and ultimately Delta CEO believes that if they, basically they haven't, basically Delta CEO believes that they CrowdStrike didn't even actually offer them anything. In his case, I'm quoting here, they said they haven't offers us anything. Advice to help, free consulting advice to help us. Hold on. Let me see here. It says here, they haven't offered us anything. Free consulting advice to help us, said Ed Bashton in the interview on Wednesday with CNBC. We asked how much compensation CrowdStrike and Microsoft have offered the company. And Bashton and blasted CrowdStrike for flawed software update at Delta and hundreds of other companies around the globe that caused widespread computer outage on July 19th. And I quote, it says here, if we're going to have a priority access to Delta ecosystem in terms of technology, you got to test this stuff. Bashton said, you can't come into a mission critical 24/7 operation and tell us, oh, we have a bug, it doesn't work. So it's true. I mean, again, I agree with the Delta CEO. You cannot just have access to the Windows root kernel and destroy Windows operating system with a blue screen, end of loop, and endless boot cycle, boot loop, and expect that Delta is going to be happy. Delta has the right to sue this company. Delta should win this lawsuit too, because CrowdStrike is too arrogant. Okay, They do not deserve some of the customer they have. They have so many loyal base customer, but they have not treated everybody with respect and kindness. In the end, the CEO of Delta says, we have no choice but to protect our shareholders. It basically says here we have no choice, and we have to protect our shareholders, we have to protect our customers and our employees for the damages, but just not just the cost of the reputational damage. So Delta felt like they severely suffered reputational damage because now people associate them with like, oh, Delta don't have a good IT people. Oh, Delta computers are old and not good. And then now that's one thing. And the other thing is customers that were having plans, maybe vacation booked and other things, they can't just expect that to be just like a go back to normal. They're probably expecting a refund. So CrowdStrike suing or Delta suing CrowdStrike means that if they get any money back, they could actually give the customer back some of their money or keep them. I don't know what they're going to do. But ultimately, I think CrowdStrike has a lot of loyal following for, and they don't do enough in that instance. They did not do enough. They need to do more. Even to this day, they're not serving small customer, big customer correctly. But that's another video itself. So comment below what you think, guys. Do you think Delta will win this lawsuit? It seems like all the evidence point out to me that they would win easy. But then you never know. Maybe CrowdStrike has a good lawyer. They are multi-billion dollar too. So they both are billionaire companies competing against who is right. The judge has to think carefully before awarding any verdict. But we'll see what happens. I'm gonna get back with you on this one. But I can tell you right now, Delta has a lot of support, including me, because there's no way. I love CrowdStrike. I think they do a good job. That July 19th, though, they still gotta compensate customer for their failures. That's what I believe. Take care, guys. Have a good rest of the day. See ya. Peace.